Hello, everyone. It's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So, as you know, Thursday means it's Fishbowl Thursday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and this week we are heading to Modern for a super spicy, really unique lock deck. This is Maralen the Arbiter. Comes to us from Mostly Not Gay, so congrats to Mostly on sending in a super cool and really fun looking deck. Well, fun for us, not so much for our opponent. If you want your own deck considered for Fishbowl Thursday, leave a link in the comments. You can also email them to me, saffronolive@mtggoldfish.com, and they will be considered for future episodes. So big thanks to everyone. I've been getting tons of lists. We've found some really cool stuff, so keep them coming. It has been awesome, awesome, awesome. So excited for these Fishbowl Thursdays. Anyway, let's talk about Maralen the Arbiter. So Maralen the Arbiter is built around Maralen of the Morn Song, which is a super unique creature. 3 mana, you get a 2/3 legendary elf wizard. Makes it so players can't draw cards. However, at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player loses 3 life and gets to tutor for a card and put it in their hand. It's basically like a repeatable Grim Tutor, I think, but this card does 2 different things. So first off, it locks out draws entirely, which means if our opponent casts a Serum Visions, they don't draw a card. It's important to realize it's not worded, oh, like when you draw a card, instead you tutor. It shuts off all additional draw, but then it gives you 1 tutor per turn at the cost of 3 life. So you're probably wondering, like, how do you actually break Maralen of the Morn Song? Like, I've seen this card before, and I've always figured, so this is what happens. You play Maralen of the Morn Song, your opponent untaps, they pay 3 life, they tutor up a Path to Exile, or a Fatal Push, they kill your Maralen of the Morn Song, and things didn't go very well. Or worst case, they tutor up their missing Storm combo piece or something, and just go off and kill you that way. So I've always thought, like, the card is powerful, and I like the text on it, and it seems like it could be fun, but how do you actually break it? And the answer here is Cat Jesus. Leonin Arbiter, one of the most powerful hate bears in all of Modern. 2 mana, 2/2. Makes it so players can't search libraries, but any player can pay 2 to ignore the effect till end of turn. So you can probably see where this is going. Let's say we're on the play. We play a land on turn 1. On turn 2, we play Leonin Arbiter. On turn 3, we play our Maralen of the Morn Song. Our opponent untaps on their turn 3, and they have a really hard choice. They have 2 lands on the battlefield, so they can't draw cards anymore, and they can either pay their 2 mana to pay for Leonin Arbiter and tutor up a card, or they cannot pay that and just play with the cards in their hand and use their 2 mana. So this is a situation we're putting our opponent in. What we want to be doing is tutoring up additional Leonin Arbiters for one thing. If we have 2 Arbiters on the battlefield, it is absolutely insane, but we can also tutor up some other stuff that makes this lock even harder. So Dark Deal is one of the best things we can do because it gets rid of all the cards in our opponent's hand. So we tutor up our Dark Deal, maybe on turn 4, turn 5, we're looking at casting the Dark Deal, and this is going to wipe out both players' hands. But we don't really care, because we still have our Maralen, we still have our Leonin Arbiter, so hands are empty, which means our opponent can't beat us with the cards they naturally have, which means our opponent, if they want to do anything for the rest of the game, they have to start paying for our Arbiters to tutor for cards. And remember, even if they don't pay for Arbiter, they're still losing 3 life, so they're getting lower on life. We're beating down with our Arbiters, we're beating down with our Maralen of the Morn Song. Opponents losing 3 on their tune as they try to tutor things up, so they're getting low on life pretty quickly. So Dark Deal wipes out hands. Liliana the Veil kind of cleans up after that. So once we Dark Deal, opponent's empty-handed, we get down our Liliana the Veil. Let's say our opponent pays 2 to tutor up a card with the Maralen on their upkeep. If they don't just tutor up and play a land immediately, we just tick up our Liliana, make our opponent discard the card, do that again the next turn, so it becomes a pretty hard lock at that point, where our opponent's going to have to spend at least 1, maybe 2 turns tutoring up exactly lands that they can play. So our opponent's going to have to spend a couple of turns at least tutoring up lands to get out from under Liliana, and by that time, the 3 damage a turn from Maralen, combined with our creature beats, will hopefully be enough to have our opponent dead. We also have a bunch of ways to protect our 2 main combo creatures. So that's one of the risks, is our opponent can get out under the lock with something as easy as a Fatal Push, a Path to Exile, a Lightning Bolt. So Spellskite just eats removal spells for our Maralen, for our Leonin Arbiter, and Face Shield 1 mana gives our stuff protection from a color of our choice, so fizzles the path, fizzles that. So it helps make sure that our opponent can't just tutor up an answer to our combo pieces and kill it. We also have some ways to make sure we don't die to our Maralen of the Mornsong. So this is why we can trust that the Maralen damage is eventually going to kill our opponent, because we can play a Phyrexian Unlife, which basically makes it so we can just keep tutoring with Maralen every turn, 3 life, 3 life, 3 life. We don't care because Maralen doesn't actually deal damage. It causes us to lose life, so even if we go to -10, -20, -100 with Phyrexian Unlife, as long as we have that Unlife on the battlefield, we're not going to be able to die. Affairs Radiance is pretty janky, but it's kind of like a backup Unlife. We tutor up, 1 mana get it on the creature, 2 mana we gain 3, so the 3 life we gain essentially outweighs the 3 life we lose to tutor each turn. So for 2 mana each turn, we basically never die to our Maralen. On the other hand, our opponent does not have these luxuries, so they are dying slowly but surely, 3 damage at a time, 3 loss of life at a time. So that's kind of the main plan of the deck. We also have some ways to attack our opponent's mana, which are really key to the deck. So one of the ways this can go wrong, as we were talking about, is our opponent realizes the lock, knows that they have to tutor out some lands to get under the lock, because eventually where they got to be is where they have enough mana to pay to tutor for Arbiter, and they also have to be able to cast what they tutor up that turn to kill our lock pieces potentially. But if we can use Rain of Tears and Ghost Quarter to keep blowing up our opponent's lands, Ghost Quarter, remember, really hard lock under the Arbiter, opponent has to pay, we can catch them when they don't have the mana to pay to kill a land, so it's like a strip mine. So if we can keep killing their lands, that makes the lock even harder. So they're tutoring up lands to try to get out from under the lock, we're tutoring up ways to kill their lock, but remember, we're winning that scenario. We're beating down with the Arbiter, we're beating down with the Maralen, they're taking the 3 damage a turn, and we are too, but we don't care because we have the Phyrexian Unlife. So if we can keep things at parity and just this endless cycle of our opponent being forced to try to tutor for lands to get out from under our lock, and we keep tutoring for Ghost Quarters to kill their lands, we end up winning in that scenario. That is going to lead to us winning the game in the long run. We also have a bit of removal. Path to Exile, great in the deck because Arbiter makes it so our opponent can't tutor up a land. Inquisition gives us something to do on turn 1. Mana Tithe takes advantage of the fact that Arbiters and Rain of Tears and Ghost Quarters are really restricting our opponent's mana. So even though it only Force Spike's going to be very, very good in this deck. Our opponent's like, okay, I got the 1 land. I can tutor up the Fatal Push to kill the Maralen and get out from under this. And we're like, haha, Mana Tithe you, sorry about that. Then we'll tutor up a Ghost Quarter and Ghost Quarter you, sorry about that as well. We kill you with our Maralen. And Snaring Bridge makes sure we don't get beaten down by creatures. We can tutor it up if our opponent has Death Shadows and Tarmogoyfs or whatever. And Snaring Bridge just locks that out of the game and guarantees that we live long enough for Maralen to win it for us. Mana base wise, we get a couple Marsh Flats. Not sure on the Marsh Flats in this deck, honestly. A little bit sketchy with our own Leonin Arbiters, but maybe just a playset is fine. Godless Shrine is a duel that we can fetch up. Plains and Swamp, Concealed Courtyards, Caves of Koilos, and the Ghost Quarters that we talked about. Sideboard-wise, we get Eldrazi Displacer. That's why we have the Ghost Quarters and the Caves of Koilos. Gives us some more protection for our creatures. We can just blink them, another threat. We also have Pithing Needle and Smallpox as kind of catch-all removal spells, and then a bunch of targeted hate stuff. Grafdigger's Cage for Graveyards and Collected Company, Core Firewalker for Burn and some aggro decks, Thalia for Storm, and actually it's just really good in this deck because our opponent's resources are going to be so restricted. This is another way to prevent them from getting 1 additional land over what they need to pay for our Arbiter and Tutor and Fatal Pushing. If we have a Thalia out, they can't do that because it costs 1 additional mana, so it slows them down considerably. Stony Silence for Affinity and Tron, and that is Maralen the Arbiter for Modern. A confusing but really sweet idea of a lock deck. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.